Hi, boys and girls. I hope you're ready for Chapter 4 of Humphrey's Pet Show Panic. Remember in Chapter 3 when we left, Humphrey was worried about staying alive. I wonder what he was afraid of. Let's find out. Chapter 4, A Matter of Life and Breath. When the dogs saw the performing cat, they got excited. I'd never heard so much barking, howling, yipping, and yapping in my life. But Clem was more excited than any of them. "Stay," Miranda yelled as Clem tugged at his leash. She tried to stop him, but he pulled the leash right out of her hand. He rushed toward the cat. As the cat jumped through the hoop again, Clem jumped right after him. Just then, a strange thing happened. Clem stopped chasing the cat, and he sniffed the air. I'm not sure what he smelled, but he headed straight for me. That's when I remembered I was out of my cage, and if Clem got to me before I got back inside, I'd be in big trouble. Boing, boing, boing. Og was scared for me too, but there wasn't much he could do to help. Just as I reached my cage, Clem's big nose poked up over the edge of the table. I saw his sharp, shiny teeth. I smelled his horrible doggy breath. "Bad dog," Miranda shouted. I heard Og splashing wildly and boinging. "Somebody stop that dog," Carl shouted. "Humphrey's out of the cage," AJ bellowed. "Grab him," Garth yelled quick. Before anyone could grab me, I saw Clem's big paws on the table, his jaws open wide. Eek! I took a flying leap and landed on his long nose. Clem's eyes crossed as he tried to look at me. I guess he can't eat Humphrey if Humphrey's sitting on his nose. Let's hope not. That would be the end of our story. I scrambled up his nose to the place between his ears. Clem didn't like that, so he shook his head hard. I hung on to a clump of his fur for dear life. Just then, Og leaped up out of his tank. He landed next to me on the top of Clem's head. Clem seemed very, very, very confused. I don't think he'd ever had a hamster and a frog on his head before. He lowered his head and shook it again. Og and I slid straight down to the floor. "Run, Og, hurry," I squeaked as I raced away from Clem. My heart was pounding, and we hopped and ran under the table and out again. We were weaving between people's big feet and past rows of cages. There was panic all around us, but no one was more scared than I was. "Bad dog, come back." That was Miranda. "Bad dog, walk." That was Crackers. "Woof, yip, meow." That was from all the other pets. "Somebody stop that dog." That was Carl again. I could smell Clem's awful doggy breath and knew he was close behind. Suddenly, everything went dark. Og and I kept racing ahead, but I couldn't see a thing. Then the world turned upside down. Og and I were flipped up, down, and all around. "I've got them," a voice called out. "Eek!" I squeaked. Finally, I could see light again. "A hat always comes in handy," Grandma Grace said. She was smiling down at us. I didn't know who she was at first because she wasn't wearing her purple hat. I quickly figured out what had happened. She had thrown the hat over us, then scooped us up. There's Grandma Grace. Can you imagine her purple hat? Og and I were inside Grandma Grace's hat. That purple hat saved our lives. Thanks, Grandma Grace, I squeaked weakly. Boing. Og sounded pretty tired too. Lots of humans gathered around to look at us, but Grandma Grace shooed them away. Let these little fellows rest, she said. I liked Grandma Grace and her purple hat very, very, very much. Soon I was back in my cage, and Og was splashing in his tank. Then the judges stepped forward to tell us the winners of the prizes. My tummy did a flip-flop. I hoped my friends wouldn't be disappointed if I didn't win a prize. It was a tough choice, Stormy Sanchez said. We think you're all winners, Dr. Jones said. Let's hand out the ribbons, Judge Wong said. I crossed my toes as they awarded the prizes. The best trick prize went to the cat who jumped through the hoop. His name was Noodles. Peter Rabbit won the biggest ears prize. That was no surprise. The prize for the longest tail went to Clem. I suppose he did have the longest tail, but I wouldn't have given him a prize for anything. Still, I was happy for Miranda. Crackers won the prize for the loudest voice. Crackers is the best, the parrot squawked. She was loud, all right. I just wish that sometimes she'd keep her beak shut. There were 2 winners for most unusual pet, Stormy Sanchez said. Can you guess what they are? My ears pricked up. Maybe Og would get a prize here. Oops, I forgot to show you the pictures. But the 2 winners were Nick the Stick and Lola the Bearded Dragon. Og had lost to a bearded lady and a stick. I was happy for Richie, though. He jumped up and down and high-fived his friends. Here's the picture. It's got a ribbon for most unusual pet. I'm sure you'll win the next prize, Humphrey, AJ whispered to me. I noticed that AJ had his fingers crossed, so I crossed my paws as well as my toes. Stormy Sanchez announced another prize with 2 winners. The prizes for friendliest pet go to Winky and Humphrey, he said. I could hardly believe my tiny ears. Boing, boing, Og twanged. Everybody cheered, and I was happy, happy, happy to share the prize with Winky. I won, AJ shouted. I get the prize. No, Humphrey won, Garth said. He's the class pet of everybody in room 26. Why should you get the prize? AJ shook his head because I'm the one who... But AJ didn't finish the sentence. He opened his mouth to say something, but then he closed it again. He was unusually quiet for AJ. He stared at Garth and Saya for a few seconds and looked a little sad. I guess you're right, he told them. When he and Mandy stepped up to accept the prizes, AJ asked if he could say something. Stormy handed him the microphone. Not that AJ needed one with his loud voice. This prize is for everybody in room 26, he said. Humphrey is our classroom hamster, so he belongs to us all. Hooray for Humphrey. Everyone clapped, including me. I was proud, proud, proud of AJ for sharing. The judges gave the prize for Best in Show to Smokey, the spotted dog. The crowd cheered, and I joined in. So there's AJ talking on the microphone. I I thought all the prizes had been awarded, but the judges weren't finished. We are also giving a very special prize that was not on the list, Stormy Sanchez said with a big smile on his face. Og the frog gets the prize for best friend for helping Humphrey. Og won a special prize for helping me. Saya looked very proud, and so did my other friends in room 26. Stormy handed her the microphone. If there's one thing Saya doesn't like, it's speaking in front of other people. But in her soft voice, she said, "Thank you. I will share this with my classmates," because Og is also the pet of everyone in room 26. As the crowd clapped, my friends started chanting, "Og, Og, Og, Og." No one squeaked louder than I did. When things quieted down again, Stormy Sanchez said, "We'd also like to thank Mrs. Grace Cook. Thank you for your quick thinking and your purple hat." Grandma Grace waved to the cheering crowd. My tiny paws were getting sore from clapping. When the cheering stopped, I turned to Og. "Thanks, thanks, thanks for helping me." Og dived to the bottom of his tank. Then he did 3 backward somersaults. It was a prize-winning trick, but no one saw it except me. There's Og doing his somersaults. Okay, so let's see how well we understood this chapter. We found out in the last chapter what Nick was. Do you remember some of the prizes that the pets received? See if you can think back to them. What prize did Humphrey receive? When Humphrey received the prize, AJ wanted to keep it for himself. How did his attitude change about that from selfish to selfless? And last of all, Og got a very special prize. What was it, and why did he receive it? Well, I hope you've enjoyed Chapter 4. We have 1 chapter left. See you soon.